The time has finally come for Shiki to face off against Drakken Joe. For reference, I began covering Eden Zero on this channel when we got our first taste of his menace. What more can I say of this chapter than it was all I could have hoped it to be? Shiki obviously is at a great disadvantage, but I believe that aspect of this encounter has been handled perfectly by Mashima so far. But that's enough gushing. Let's actually talk about the chapter. Hello everyone, I'm Ozzy, and this is my Eden Zero 94 chapter analysis. The first 4 pages of this chapter do a wonderful job of highlighting Amira's competence and leadership. I'll probably say this more than once, but it feels as if Mashima has been reading our minds and delivering to us exactly what we've been looking forward to, while still holding the reins and keeping a poker face about certain topics. Amira flexes her spy muscles by reading everyone in the room and issuing precisely how they can be most optimally of use. This is a blessing for this scenario, but I couldn't help but also feel anxious knowing that she won't be our ally forever. There will soon be a time where these very skills will be used against us. Before I get to the fight, I have to commend Mashima on his comedy this chapter. His use of Moscow specifically has brought about a love of the character that I haven't felt since his relationship with Sister was revealed. Okay. Let's talk about the amazing first part of this fight. As I said in my last video, the more we get into the climax of this arc, the more I can see the panels flowing to the extent that I can see precisely how it will be animated. Drakken Joe's experience immediately begins to show as we watch him straight away shut down Shiki's advancements. Shiki comments that his arm changed to iron, but I can't help but to believe it was converted into something more exotic, considering Joe's past. One of my favorite moments within this exchange is how Shiki broke up parts of a wall, then used that as a sort of shotgun attack. That was such a brilliant use of gravity that I feel will be overlooked by most people. I'm so glad that even Drakken Joe was equally impressed. Shiki proceeds to use his gravity comet, which I feel will go over a lot of heads. This is Shiki's strongest attack, and it was effortlessly blocked by Joe. Judging by the lack of sheen and tattoos, I presume Joe in some way converted the gravity, rendering the attack useless. So far it's unclear, however I feel that may come into play later, just what he did with it. Afterwards, Joe proceeds to show off, displaying to us just how ridiculous of an ability his alchemy ether gear is. Mashima does a phenomenal job of having Drakken Joe feel like this underworld god he has been built up to be. The third part of this chapter is brief, however I feel these 2 keys may turn out to be the most important towards whatever future this climax holds. Lobelia has now been made aware that this whole commotion has almost entirely been at her expense, and led by the person she so selfishly has mistreated. I mentioned this long ago in my Read Eden Zero video, but something that Mashima builds into each arc is Rebecca's growth as a beekeeper. She began as a loser that spent most of her time playing video games rather than furthering her career, and slowly garnered the respect of all those she once looked up to, save for one. Whatever he has in store with Lobelia very well could be one of the most important moments in Rebecca's entire progression as a character. The second key event shown is a seemingly abandoned clean. Initially, I was of 2 minds about this, feeling that Jin would have helped her as soon as she was defeated, but then obviously Joe would have him off making use of him somewhere if he hadn't been shown yet. The issue is that this kind of result feels that it may contain some unfortunate consequences for Jin and Clean. As we round out the last few pages, the Infiltration team have already made it to the life support machine. It definitely feels like Mashima is screaming, "The end is near," with how much he is showing. Amira hints that there is a secret behind the life support machine. Initially, I had no guess as to what that could mean. However, upon further reflection, my fear is that what lies behind the machine is whatever the true element 4 is. Right on cue, Jin jumps in to stop our heroes with a seemingly new look. I have no clue what to make of this, however I feel that it certainly ties into why he isn't helping clean. A guess could be that one of the changes Rebecca's cat leaper made is that Jin and Clean haven't been traveling together, resulting in the current predicaments. I was actually surprised by Jin's reaction to Moscow. I completely forgot that technically he would see him as a traitor due to not having knowledge of the full situation. Moscow's reactions were hilarious though, and I am enjoying that so far the crew aren't even viewing this interruption as much of a threat. However, to my great despair, that is all for this chapter. I was really hoping we'd get to see this whole conversation, but it looks like we'll have to wait until next week for more. What did you guys think of the chapter? Was the fight all you hoped for? Did you find Moscow as entertaining as I did, or just annoying? Also, what do you think is the secret Amira hinted towards? Well, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you thought, and be sure to subscribe if you enjoy my content. But until next time, seal.